call this meeting to order. Henry, would you open in prayer for us? We'll do this again after we go into open session again. If you'll open with prayer this evening.
Let us pray. Father, Lord, we thank you for your grace and mercy, your blessings, and allowing us to come together to conduct the business of the county. Father, we ask now that you give us wisdom and knowledge and understanding we need to carry on all business, Father, in a way that it should be. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Gentlemen, we have to go into closed session. Let me find my sheet here, get the right number. Okay, I got it right here. We're going in closed session authorized by General Statutes 143-318.114. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We're now in closed session. Gentlemen, we need a motion to go out of closed session.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second to go out of closed session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, we're now out of closed session, and we're going to start our open session meeting. First on there, we'll have Henry, would you lead us in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Let us pray. Father, we come before you to give you thanks and honor and praise for your grace and mercy and your goodness. We thank you for the blessings, Lord, upon our nation, our state, and our county. We thank you for the privilege to serve and the privilege to conduct the business of this county. We ask blessings, Father, upon the officials of the county, the citizens, and the employees. Bless now, Lord, this meeting as we go into it, that we will carry it out in a way that it should be. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. Got a right good crowd here tonight. I see several of the Rulington members from Sunbury here. Welcome y'all. We're going to start with our approval of the agenda. We've got a couple agenda items we need to change or add. Under department reports, Billy Wynn will have a report from the Gates County Medical Transport Board. And then under new business, where it says the pre-employment criminal history conviction investigation, Billy will also take care of that. If there are any other questions, we'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I move we accept the amended agenda.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, the next thing we'll have is our citizens' comments. Okay, the first one on here will be Mr. Anthony Felton from Ewer. You would do second time, okay. Mr. Earl Roundtree from Sunbury.
Hello, Earl Roundtree, Sunbury. I got a Graham, rest of commissioners, I just wanted to clear up a few things that happened in the last meeting. And some of what I said is really nice. You go back and you look at the videos, and then you find out, well, maybe we need to go back and mention something different about that. When I was talking about the video and the closed meeting, when it comes to citizens' comment, Jack made some comment reference using my name. The individual that I was talking about not video and an audio in closed session, and I made the comment, I think it was what Jack said, I made the comment that all people break the law in closed sessions. And basically, to clarify that, what he was talking about was, and use this as an illustration, Jack's going to drive to Greenville tomorrow to see a client. Somewhere along the line, he's not going to stop at a stop sign, he's going to roll through it. He's certainly not going to drive the posted speed limit. If he does, he can be run over on Highway 11. And at some point in time, he's probably going to run through a caution light in Greenville with those 200 stoplights that Graham goes through regularly. And he shouldn't have done that, but he's made that decision. What the man was telling me was, on a technical standpoint, that you have to police yourself, and at times you're going to get in a conversation that Toby or Graham or anybody else on the board says, oh, wait a minute, maybe we don't need to be there. I didn't mean to imply that all the boards of commissioners in the state just blatantly broke the law. It was just technical stuff, because it's a very gray area, isn't it, Pitt? When you go into closed session, no one is there to police you, and you're sort of there to talk about what you want to, and it's a big gray area. But try to police yourself anyway. Another statement that was made, and Mr. Kittrell asked me, and we talked about this, to mention it. It was discussed here comparing the library to the ABC stores. I know that was just an illustration, but I didn't want the people, the citizens, to get misinformed. The ABC board and the ABC stores have nothing to do with tax money. The only thing these people do is appoint, 3 members in it, Toby, to the board. And it's all supposed to be for profit. We do get a little bit of money, but it has nothing to do with tax money. So I just wanted to kind of clear up that you can't compare the library to the ABC store, because there's no county tax money involved. I want to congratulate the commissioners because some time ago, right over here, when they brought up about financing the library, they came up with this idea of mentioning it throughout this 40 years, 6% loan from USDA. And I spoke against it over there where Mr. Langston is. And I think, and Henry sort of led the way on this, but I'm sure y'all all seem to be in agreement, and you settled on it was 5 years, 1.77, right, Henry? That's the official vote. And I think that's perfect. I think that we can go ahead and pay off this library. We got an interest rate that is almost zero when you get to 1.77. I'd like to be able to borrow $1 million tomorrow on that. So I want to congratulate you on that. I sent all of you an email about the Dropbox. Now that really got interesting to me, and I hope some of y'all have got a sense of humor, because I did to sit here and y'all discuss this thing, and I made this comment, you discussed the Dropbox, a $600 Dropbox longer than you did the library. We know that's not true, Graham. You knew it when you got the email. But you did discuss it. The reason I bring this up, Jack, is Tuesday, I was coming back from the doctor, and I had been around, and I was going down to the restroom, and there were about probably 5 people in line down there at the water department, and they moved out of my way, and I came out of the building, and I was headed out to the vehicle, which is parked right out front, and this was a nice elderly lady in a little white car, and she called me over. I had no idea who she was. Still don't, but that matter. Wasn't anybody I knew. And she said, "Sir, could you help me?" And I said, what do you need? She said, "I'm here to pay my water bill, but I can't walk." And said, "Would you mind going inside and getting someone to come out here and get my water bill?" Well, I didn't offer to take her money because she didn't know me, Henry, and I didn't want to be accused of her water getting cut off, so I went inside. When I got back in there, the last lady was finishing up, so the woman in the water department came out and took her money. And I just happened to think, I said, we're sitting here a couple of weeks back discussing the need, and y'all bickering back and forth about a Dropbox. Let's go on, and if nobody ever uses it, I'm in favor of trying it. And for $600, we don't need Johnny to spend the rest of our life bickering over $600 water. But make sure we got to do something about this parking out here because people park in that island. And that was brought up. There was no parking zone, but there's 2 people parked out there tonight, and there were 2 parked out there Tuesday. But that is something y'all discuss. I had one other thing I wanted to clear up. I mean, to my observation, Kathy is back here. On your website, Kathy, you made a reference in here that said, let me add, talking about the Chuck Brothers letter, let me add that Commissioner Hoare and Jordan had nothing to do with the initial correspondence to Mr. Brothers. Now, my studying and seeing on this, I think that if I'm wrong, y'all please tell me, because I don't know. I'm just being what I've been told by verifiable sources, that the letter to Mr. Brothers was composed primarily by the county manager, Toby Chappell. Now, whether he was instructed, I don't know. Toby only knows that. And then you had a meeting, and Mr. Jordan was involved in writing that letter. And so I just wanted to make that clear. And it, of course, I guess Graham had signed the letter and as chairman. And that was probably a mistake that Graham wished he'd had all of y'all to sign the letter if you're going to send it. But nevertheless, I'd already spoke on this several months ago. I haven't changed my position. Chuck Brothers, as a citizen of this county, had a right to do whatever he wanted to do. He gets paid $50 a month when he goes to planning board. He's not an employee of the county, and he's not an elected official. But I just wanted to clarify to Kathy and to the rest of the people, and if y'all want to disagree, that Mr. Jordan was initially involved in that. If Henry would like to address that later. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, on the list, Mr. John Crocker. Would you like to speak now or later on?
I'll speak now. Maybe we can discuss it. Well, good evening. I'm here from the Sunbury Ruritan Club, which I'm the vice president. We sent you an email Thursday to notify the board that we were interested in the gymnasium at the Sunbury School. We are looking for a new building to move because our present building is deteriorated a great deal. It would cost us more money than we would ever have. So we're looking for a new place. If the gymnasium became available, we would certainly be interested in it. Sunbury Ruritan Club is, as some of you may know, was the first Ruritan Club in North Carolina. We've been in existence for over 75 years, and our bank account is about $2,000. So all the money that we raise, we give back to the community. It's not that we're building a bank account or anything like that. I'd like to give to the board, this is an insert that we are going to distribute to the new calendars next month, which tells some of the projects that we use and do, which is not just for Sunbury, but it is for the benefit of all the people of the county. If you would look at that, and if you can help us out, we'd sure appreciate it. That's all I have to say at this time.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Crocker.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. John Hill.
John Hill, also representing the Sunbury Ruritan Club. I'm the president this year. Just like to reiterate what Mr. Crocker said. We're about 24 members strong now, if you count honorary members and youth members and everything. And although we're a small club, we do a lot for the community. Other than churches, who can probably get to the needs of the people better than we can because it's more isolated. I would say that the Sunbury Ruritan Club is probably the best heartbeat of the community of Sunbury. We probably have the best grasp of what's going on in the community as far as helping the community. And it's not only now, we as a small club, but in the past, when we were first formed, a lot of people were instrumental in a lot of important things in the county. It was the Sunbury Ruritan Club who helped in founding the rescue squad. They also helped with the Sunbury Fire Department. They also helped in setting up the street lights there in Sunbury. It was actually Sunbury Ruritan members acting independently around 1950 or 51 who put up the money for the gymnasium there at Sunbury School, because the people that we've heard were names were John A. Payne III, Dr. Payne, and Graham Barham, who was a successful automobile salesman there in the community. And then the white citizens, this is of course before Brown versus Topeka in 1954, but the white citizens paid a tax to help pay off the bond to build that gymnasium. But anyway, Sunbury Ruritan Club has done a lot for the community and the county through the years, and we'd like to continue to do a lot for the community and the county, and any consideration that you could give us, we would certainly appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Okay, that ends our citizens' comment for this session. Next on our agenda, we're going to go to department reports. Ms. Colleen Turner, our DSS director. There she is. Hello, Colleen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hopefully you received in your packet an annual report from Young Williams, the company that we contract with for child support enforcement. And they came and gave the Board of Social Services an update in August. And I was asked by the board at that time to bring that update to the Board of Commissioners and the community. And we had Hurricane Irene and a number of other events following that, so this is the first opportunity that I've had to bring this information to you. So I'm going to follow through here, and I've got some information that I'm going to pull from some notes from the program manager at Young Williams. But for those of you who don't know, in July of 2010, the state of North Carolina elected to require all 100 counties to operate a child support enforcement agency. Prior to that, the state had several offices across the state that they administered, and some counties did administer their own child support. But in July of 2010, the decision was made that the state would no longer provide that service to local communities. Gates County at that time entered into a partnership with 9 other counties. There are 10 or 11 counties that are in a joint partnership with a company called Young Williams. And they have been providing child support enforcement services in the southeastern part of the nation for a long time. And we entered into that agreement, and a lot has remained the same. The office that serves Gates County remains in Elizabeth City, and many, if not all, of the staff that were previously providing child support enforcement services to Gates County and the other 3 counties in that office remained intact. So we've not experienced a lot of staffing changes or service changes for the community, with the exception that services have improved. The timeliness of getting court orders and the collections of arrears and other payments have improved, and we expect them to continue to improve. We entered into contract with Young Williams, and after the first year, they've provided us with some data about their first year of service for Gates County, and we were proud to hear that we were one of only 10 counties in North Carolina that exceeded 4 out of the 5 goals that were set by the state. And those goals are caseloads under order, paternity establishment, current support collections, and collections toward arrears. So I'll talk a little bit about those. For 10-11, fiscal year 2010-11, we had 89.07% of our cases under order, and the state's average was 82, so they exceeded the state's average. Paternity establishment, we actually were at 102.55%. Multiple paternity establishments per children can take that average over 100%. And the state's average was 100.78, again, exceeding the state's goal. Support collections were at 68.95% for the fiscal year, and the state's average was 65.03, again, exceeding the state's average. Collections toward arrears, our average was 71.4%, where the state was only at 64.29%. And when I say the state, that's the statewide average of all 100 counties. So we were faring better than the average county in the state of North Carolina. Our collections for 2010 and 11 were $1,406,830. They have established that same goal for this current fiscal year that we're in, and with collections to date, we are on target to meet that goal. Young Williams works hard to ensure that child support is collected on behalf of the children that they're serving. They do work very hard to make sure that paternity is established whenever it's possible to do so. And they carry about between 620 and 640 cases in Gates County, which is roughly 16% of the total caseload for the office that we are served by. 68 of those cases at the end of 2010-11 were still without an order, but they have worked hard to address that number. In terms of cases under order, this fiscal year that we're in right now, the office will continue to focus on reports that are designed to ensure that every case in Gates County that does not have a court order is reviewed each month, and that all steps that need to be taken are taken. And the state goal for fiscal year 2012 is 90.07%. They established 65 orders last fiscal year, and they've already established over 40 so far this fiscal year, so they are well on track to meet that goal. Paternity establishment, the state goal for 2011 was 99.99%, and this office, as I said, ended at 102.55%. While they're working cases in Gates County with children that are targeted who were born out of wedlock, they discovered that the system hadn't been properly maintained, and there were a lot of children in the caseload that just weren't accurately reflecting the paternity status. So they did a lot of cleanup, and they brought that data up to current, and that did afford them the opportunity to exceed the state's goal for Gates County. For next year, the baseline number of children is 447, and in July there were 416 children born out of wedlock who had paternity established. That means they'll need to establish paternity on 42 children over the next 11 months to meet the goal of 102.55. But they're well on their way to meeting that goal. In terms of collections, as I indicated, they collected $1.4 million last fiscal year. The state reestablished that as their goal for this fiscal year. Due to the current economy, they didn't increase the goal. We know that it's difficult for all families, including those who are required to pay child support, but again, they are on target to meet that goal. Current support collections, the state goal for 2011 was 67.45, and again, they ended above average at 68.95. And again, due to the economy, it was very difficult for them to gain collections on their current cases. But there were only 17 counties in North Carolina that met their current support collections goal, and we were one of them. Collections toward arrears, we ended the year at 71.4%. We missed that goal by 5 payments. So that's not too wide a margin for them to recover in this year. I have some numbers for this year so far, and they are either, well, I'll give you an example. For caseload under order, they were at 89.07 at the end of the year. They're already at 90.78. cases that are under order. Their paternity establishment has gone down a little bit to 96.42. Current support collections, they're at 67.89 as of October. Their collections toward arrears is at 56.43%, but that is a number that resets at July 1. So they will build up each month until they reach the highest point that they can reach in the fiscal year. And to be at 56.43 at the end of October, where they only met 71.4 for the entire year last year, that's a pretty good benchmark for them to be moving forward. So we're very pleased with the services that we're receiving through Young Williams, very satisfied with the contract that we are under with them, feel that it is warranted that we continue to consider partnering with them and contracting with them for services. We do receive administrative reimbursement. 66% of all of Gates County's costs are recouped through the administrative reimbursement system, and we have done well in realizing all of the revenue that is available to us. In addition to those goals, Young Williams also does genetic testing, DNA testing. This fiscal year, the state decided that they were no longer going to pay for that. So that has been pushed down to counties, and we are paying 34% of the cost of genetic testing for children. They also pushed down in September or October of this year the cost of filing in court. And so we're claiming those costs and drawing the revenue down for that. Young Williams is very efficient. They're very mindful of their dollars, and they're very communicative with us. So again, we're very pleased with the services that they provide. They will meet with people in our office at the Department of Social Services upon request, and a person who either receives or is required to pay child support can receive service at any one of the offices in the 10 or 11 county region. They don't have to go to Elizabeth City. So if you or someone you know receives child support or pays child support, they can go to the Ahoskie office, the Edenton office, the Elizabeth City office. Bertie is in Ahoskie, I believe. So there are those three options. Or they can arrange to have a caseworker meet them at the Department of Social Services. So I don't know what other information. Oh, there was one other thing. Oh, no, I covered them. The contract did increase by 1% per the original agreement this fiscal year, and we didn't catch that at budget time. So Sandy Pittman and I will be doing a budget amendment. It's a little over $1,000, but remember, 66% of that is revenue, so we'll be looking for somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 later, probably in December, to cover that increased expense to child support services. So, are there any questions that I might be able to either answer or find an answer for you?
It's a one-year contract.
It was a 2-year contract. Well, it was a 1-year contract that automatically renewed July 1st of 2011 with a 1% increase. The third year, it might have been a 4-year
I
contract.
think it's a
but the
3-year
third-
contract with automatic renewals at the end of
Okay.
1 and 2, I believe. And it had a built-in, I guess you could call it a cost of living adjustment in there of 1%.
But they did not build an adjustment in for the third year. The contract says that that's negotiable. So we probably will hear from them after the first of the year to begin discussing what rate increase, if any, is warranted for the coming fiscal year. Hopefully, we'll have that decision made and that information available come budget time.
Colleen, do you get the reimbursed part that you're talking about, the 66%? Do you get that as is paid, or is that quarterly?
We pay the contract price monthly, and we pay the rent monthly for the building that the staff are in Elizabeth City. And we pay any court filing fees and any DNA testing fees. And then we claim those expenses on our administrative reimbursement report each month, and we recoup the revenue directly.
Thank you. Good report.
Thank you, Colleen. Any other questions?
I actually have one, and I know you don't know the number, so I'm not asking for a number. Just generally speaking, in addition to the 66%, there are also incentives for reaching the goals, and I think you've talked about them.
There are.
And how are we doing on that kind of extra money, that incentive money? I would assume well from your report, but can you maybe speak about that?
I don't have the numbers, but I do know that we received approximately $20,000 in incentive payments last fiscal year. Those incentive payments have to be reinvested in the child support system, so we recoup 100%, but we have to reinvest it again without the 66% reimbursement on whatever expenses we reinvest that incentive toward.
That money comes from the state, is that right? The
The federal
I think it's
government.
fed, I think it's
federal.
fed through the state, but it's incentive money. It's the goals she was talking about. If you exceed the goals, there's extra money for exceeding the goals. It's, in short terms, that's what it's explaining. Okay, but well, is, I guess, would be the short answer to my question.
Yeah,
They're doing well.
I would say doing well,
Okay.
yes. Yes,
Anything else, gentlemen? Thank you, Colleen.
thank you.
Next on our agenda, Mr. Billy Wynn has got a report from Gates County Medical Transportation Board. Welcome, Billy.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity for being here. I have two things to speak to tonight. The first one, there was a letter included in your packet tonight, as was sent to Ms. Pilon at MedX Medical Transport following the Medical Transport Advisory Council meeting week before last. The decision of the committee was to deny the application for the permit. Reasons are outlined in your letter, but primarily the medical director for the county did not wish to take on the responsibility of a private practice. And then we did a needs assessment, and there were 25 transports initiated from Gates County, and those 25 transports were done with the existing agencies, and the need was not felt for adding to that pool.
Billy, is there an appeal procedure that this company can go through?
Yes, sir. It is outlined in the ordinance that was adopted year before last. They can petition to your board. It has gone through our vetting process. Our procedure was to make sure that everything in the application was current and present, and then to make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners have the final say on the application process, but please bear in mind that the doctor must sign off, and he was not willing to do that at the time of our meeting.
Billy, it looks like from your memo in front of us that your full board, everybody was present?
Yes, sir. We have 6 members on the board, and all 6 were present.
And it was unanimous?
Yes, sir, it was.
Who are they, Billy?
I'm sorry.
Who are they?
The members of the board,
Yes.
they're ex officio members, and one that's 3-year term by the commissioners. That one is Ronnie Parker from Red Barn Farms in Gates. I chair the committee. Toby Graham, Jack Boyce,
And the doctor.
and the doctor, Dr. Howell, who is the medical director.
And you said there was 25 transports
25 transports that originated from Gates County.
by 6 different entities, 6 agencies?
No, sir, 2 agencies.
And what were those 2 agencies?
Gates County Rescue and EMS and Harold Medical Transport are the only licensed ambulance providers in Gates County.
Right. And so, how many so we only have 2 that are licensed in Gates County,
That is correct.
and which I'm in total agreement with that, which is to protect, especially with the one that's here, but I do have a problem when a competitive situation, that the message that this kind of conveys to someone that wants to conduct business, especially if there's only 2. And I mean, I don't have any problem with it other than that. I think it's a free enterprise capitalistic society, and that And I want to protect the people there in Gates County, obviously, to have first choice, but I just, in society today, I don't think that's really being representative of a competitive situation. Just a personal opinion. I'm not, competition is good.
I understand.
Any other comments?
Dr. Howell said he was not willing to take any private ambulance providers under his control at this time, any other. So only Harold, which is private, is that, was that more of a preference, or?
No, sir,
Is it his workload, or just?
If you will bear with me for a second, I'll try to give this as brief as possible. It is a very difficult and convoluted process. Every medical provider in the state is required to have a licensed medical director. The medical director that we use in Gates County is the same one that is used in Pasquotank, Camden, Currituck, Perquimans. And it's for our use at no cost. Albemarle Hospital pays their salary. It doesn't cost us anything. There have been multiple attempts by multiple agencies to apply in those other counties, and the doctor has denied those as well. So it's not a Gates County thing. The hospital is kind of in charge of it because they are providing that doctor, and he is a practicing emergency room physician. So the more people that are under his leadership, the more time he has to put into it, and he was just not willing to do that.
Any other questions? We need action from the board.
Another comment. If this is passed, I think it would be appropriate to put in the letter the appeal process. They have the right to appeal if they'd like to.
Yes, sir. And it is clearly outlined in the ordinance that was passed by the board.
Any other comments, gentlemen? You need action on this time?
Yes, sir, I do.
Who is the Hereford County Medical Director? And how is this with the Gates Hereford Health Department?
It has
Gates is not
absolutely
with
nothing to
Hereford
do
anymore. We're past with that now.
It has nothing to do with the health department. EMS has got a state office, the Office of Emergency Medical Services, and they tell us what positions have to be in place, and the medical director has to be approved by OEMS. So the overarching group is Department of Health and Human Services, but OEMS has got control over EMS. A lot of acronyms.
Well, I just guess it's the presence of how would I say this? The assumption of a monopoly type situation to the public.
I understand your ideas, but the doctor said he wasn't willing to do it. And unless we have another doctor or we go through an appeal process, I can't change that opinion.
I understand that, Billy.
I was sitting on the board, Johnny, and part of the issue was with only 25 transports, he didn't feel like another one to have to try to manage would be more of a problem for him. If we'd had 150 transports, it'd probably be a different issue. But just 25 transports.
I agree with that too, Graham, but if one's charging me $1,000 and one's $500, I might have a different opinion.
Well, that's true. You may.
And I can also speak to this. This is for non-emergency transport only. These are doctor visits, dialysis patients. That type of medical transport is what we're talking
It
about.
only has to do with ones originating in Gates County. Anybody can bring somebody from the hospital to Gates County. All right, if nothing else, we'll need to entertain a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Medical Transportation Board to deny the application to Medical Transport Services of Hoskin.
With the amendment that they can appeal.
Right. You making that as a motion then, with the amendment?
I'm gonna let you do it.
I'm asking for a motion. I don't have a problem making a motion. Does anybody want to make a motion, or should I?
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
And gentlemen, while I'm
Start.
here,
This is just start, and I'll chime in.
okay. Down in the new business, there was, under Mr. Chappell, number 1 was the pre-employment criminal history conviction investigation. It has been brought to my attention to investigate how we can use the DCI network, which is a criminal history background network, police investigatory means. DCI is handled in the state by the State Bureau of Investigation. They have a process where they will allow municipal governments to use DCI for non-criminal, non-investigation criminal histories for the purpose of employment of county employees and volunteers in public safety entities. Assuming it's in your packet.
Yep.
Okay. There's a copy of the process in your packet. We looked at several different ones across the state. Chatham County is effectively using this DCI as their background investigation mechanism right now. We have, so that particular wording has been vetted. The process would be, if you approve this tonight, that we can go forth with this. We need a board decision on that, and then it will be sent to the North Carolina Attorney General's office. They will approve that and send it on to the SBI. The SBI will start the process for gaining us access to do that. It clearly outlines in the policy who can use it and for what purposes it can be used for. And it's,
Billy,
yes, sir.
in the policy, I guess it's page 2, they're not numbered. The third paragraph from the bottom, it says the county will incur any cost associated with this process. Do you have any idea what type cost we're talking about?
There are no routine costs.
Yeah, I think that paragraph deals with if you need to hit fingerprints to verify the identity of someone you're doing the investigation of. It's saying the county would incur the cost there. But as a routine background check, there are no costs that I'm aware of.
That is correct.
The fire departments that we've got listed here, how would that work? Would they request you to have a background check on
Yes, sir.
everybody?
It's outlined in there at some point. But the only person that can request that is the chief of each department, and they would come through through my agency or through the terminal agency coordinator or the TAC with DCI. That information can only be disseminated to the requesting chief.
Okay. Are there any other questions, Tony?
I think it would have been good if we had discussed this in personnel. I think it's something we need to determine, you know, what type of offenses would preclude employment with the county, and it kind of leaves it open here.
It leaves it open intentionally because as a hiring practice, you have to take into things like nature of the offense, how long ago the offense was. You know, I don't know that you want to necessarily automatically exclude crime by crime. I think you need to take it on a situational basis.
Well, I think it takes out the, you know, any potential inconsistency. If you have some guidelines in your ordinance as to, you know, whether or not you're going to exclude anyone from a misdemeanor or felony or whatever, but I would have liked to have seen it going through the personnel board prior to, so that we could set up some guidelines and not just have it. It just seems to be a little bit discretionary and judgmental, but you have potentials here for inconsistencies. If you do it for one, and all of a sudden someone else comes and theirs is not as egregious, if you will, then we are not having
If I may address that, the only thing this policy addresses is the process of using DCI. The information that comes from it for the hiring and/or firing of personnel is not addressed in this at all. This is just to allow DCI to be used for the process of gaining the criminal history. It was not intended to address the practices of hiring. I'm assuming that would be done with personnel.
Yeah, we can still go back and look at that.
I think most of your businesses now use this process on all new hires. Everywhere I've worked in the last 15, 20 years has used a criminal background check. What's the pleasure of the board?
Is there going to be any training involved in this? I see we've got 7 different
Yes, sir.
groups here.
Nobody will be using the equipment except the people that use the equipment today
Okay.
to do this very same thing. If the sheriff or any of his deputies are conducting an investigation, this is a process we do daily.
Okay.
The difference is we're gaining the information for the purpose of employment, not for the purpose of investigation for a crime.
What triggers this criminal history inquiry?
An application, an employment application.
An employment application triggers this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's at the time that you're...
That's right. When the employee applies, during the hiring process, the
The application says on the bottom that you are releasing the county and giving them the authority to conduct a criminal background check on yourself. On every application we have.
And this policy is authorizing you to use this mechanism to gain that, then the personnel issue is dealt with somewhere else, depending on the results.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The only thing this is allowing us to do is to gain the criminal history.
Right.
This is the mode in which you're acquiring the information.
That is
That's
correct.
fine.
It's not a decision-making piece on the DCI side of things.
And I thought I saw in here somewhere where it says that the hiring official will make the decision. I didn't mark that.
The hiring official makes a decision now.
Based on what the results of the investigation reveal. Yeah, I think right here it says the criteria for which a person would be denied employment or terminated is subject to the items listed above as they relate to essential job functions or position applied for. And then it talks about the nature of the offense, circumstances of the offense, time frame of the offense, applicant's employment records since the offense, number of convictions, and rehabilitation. So all these are judgmental calls that you would have to make as a result of it. And it also says that DCI query results shall be provided to the county manager, whom shall evaluate any crime for the purposes of employment. The following items will be considered. So, and there again, I'm concerned about consistency. I'm concerned about the county getting into a position whereas if you deny employment for one based on this offense, and then all of a sudden we get on the road and we hire someone else who's had a more egregious offense, then we're being inconsistent. We need to have some type of guidelines so that we're sure that we're consistent in what we're doing. And, it spells it out here pretty much. But there again, we can address that at the personnel board level, but we need to have something in place to make sure we've got that consistency.
All right, we need a motion then to accept this as a policy to use this as a,
Mr. Chairman, let me just make a statement.
Okay.
And see if it clears something up. I understand what Henry's saying. That is a matter for the Personnel Board to discuss next time they get together. But I think what we are talking about is approving this as a source.
Yes.
Is what we're really talking about.
Correct. You can obtain this information by paying a company to get it over
Yeah.
the internet. This is just a free way of getting the information that it says on our applications now that we can get.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree, though, that consistency is good, but that is two different
Yeah.
matters. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept this method as a resource for criminal history inquiries.
I second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second that we accept this as the policy to do criminal history on future employees and to use it if the fire departments would like to use it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next on our agenda is the old business. First on there will be Mr. Gus Simmons and Mr. Mike Scott. We're talking about our wastewater plans.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good
Commissioners.
evening, Gus.
Evening.
It's a pleasure to be back here with you in Gates County this evening. On the agenda under old business to provide you an update on where we are with your sewer and wastewater treatment plant project. I wanted to share with you tonight that we stand ready to advertise for bids for the sewer collection system Phase 1. And what that entails would be advertising bids for construction for the first phase of the gravity sewer collection, the main pump station. Sorry, I'm going to pull that away a little bit. The main pump station that will convey collected sewer to the existing wastewater treatment facility, and would serve the area along Highway 158, including the economic development area. We do have it in our possession at this time, or the county has in its possession, rather, all of the permits and entitlements that are necessary for the advertisement of that project moving towards construction. So things have progressed well, and I would like to report to you, I'm very, very pleased to report to you that project has progressed on schedule. Also, I want to share with you that the next phase of the project, which consists of the construction of a new wastewater treatment plant facility, is currently under permit review, and we anticipate for you to have all of your permits and entitlements in hand for that project sometime this summer. And we'll probably look to ask you to move forward with advertisement for construction of that project at that time, sometime later this summer. But Commissioners, I wanted to share with you a brief update and get your minds thinking in terms of your sewer project, and certainly be glad to answer any questions that you may have or discuss any aspect of it at greater length.
All right,
And,
gentlemen, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just to
Yes, sir.
clarify, I would ask and am seeking tonight your approval to begin that advertisement process.
Okay.
And we would like to begin that on November 29th or later, as may fit with the county schedule.
All right, any questions?
All the repairs that we were working on the existing part have been taken care of.
To the best of my knowledge, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chaplin, any additional report?
Are you referring to the spray field, or which
Yes.
part are you referring to?
Well, the spray field, I think we had some issues with valves and, I don't know, was it a flow meter or something like that?
Yeah, I think we got it as good as we were gonna get it before DOC turned it over to us.
Okay.
This includes, this bid process includes the upgrades to the existing field and all that now?
No, sir, that's the next phase that we
That'll be
will.
the next phase?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
This is gonna be primarily the lines
Okay.
ran down the road to the pump station.
Mr. Chairman, if you're ready for a motion, I'll make a motion that we authorize Kavanaugh and Associates to proceed with the bid process for the next phase of the sewer system upgrade.
All right, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, Gus, start moving forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike?
Well, just as good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Just as added information to what Gus has shared with you tonight, I want to update the board and the citizens of Gates County regarding the funding for this project. Just as a reminder, the board has applied for and has been awarded a $900,000 grant from the Economic Development Administration. This is the U.S. Department of Commerce. They have also applied for and announced last week receipt of a $700,000 grant from the North Carolina Rural Economic Development Center. The county has also applied for a $200,000 grant from Golden Leaf. Golden Leaf conducted a site review week before last. The county received a very favorable review. Their board meets the first week in December, and we anticipate having an award announcement on the $200,000 shortly thereafter. We're currently working on the completion of the Community Development Block Grant for Economic Development application for $350,000. We're working with the company now to finalize their application documents. The environmental review has been submitted to the State Clearinghouse for its 30-day review, and the review period will expire at the end of this month. Right now, we anticipate that the final award for CDBG funds will come probably sometime in late February, early March. To date, the county has either received or applied for $2,150,000 towards this project.
Yeah, the CDGB grant, that's 350 or 5?
350.
350, okay.
Yes.
Very good.
So, Mike,
Yes, sir.
so 900, 700, and then the Golden Leaf was originally on a document that I had sometime was 300, and now that's 200.
And we've been told by Golden Leaf that their maximum award will be 200 on that.
And then the CDBG was 245, moved to 350.
That's correct.
And the industrial development was 500, and it's 350.
The Industrial Development Fund, we have not submitted an application on that project for those funds yet. They're looking more for an industrial application, and what we anticipate is that we may be able to work with them towards an application for their funds for a future expansion.
So, in summary, back some months ago, and I know I asked this at least twice, when I added up all the sources on the document that Toby had sent, we were a plus $83,000 above the estimated capital project. If I add up that now with what you told me, it looks like $2.5 million.
I think that's about right, yes.
So now we would be short $145,000.
Well, the way the project scope is looking right now, we're at about we're at about a $2.8 million project. The project scope as it's presented right now.
So, so the county taxpayers will be exposure of $300,000.
Probably no more than that. Right.
So we've gone from a plus 80 to a negative 300.
Commissioner, I'm really not sure I'm following everything because I don't have the numbers that you have, and
this was a document that I had Toby send me when and I knew there was a cash flow thing that we were gonna have to deal with. This had a positive $82,863 cash flow to the county. So now, it's coming out with a negative $300,000.
Part of that would be the difference in the Golden Leaf change. Isn't that right?
It could,
Well, there's two of them.
it could be, I'm just,
One, we got two negatives and one positive. And looking at this differential here, the problem there again is conveyance. And like I said, I asked this specifically twice about this because of the money that was involved in it, of what was the county taxpayers' exposure. There was no exposure to the county other than the cash flow from the CDBG, because you get these monies back after the expenditures. Is that not correct?
yes.
And I think the CDBG was like that, and there was another one, the rule was like that. You had to disperse them before you got the reimbursable.
That's generally the case, yes.
Originally, we were at $300,000 county money to start with from the day one of the project.
That's right.
I mean, that's where we were at. We were looking at $300 exposure, if I remember. We approved as much as $900 for the rural center grant, I believe.
Yeah, it had, well,
I
we
think
had,
that's correct. I do know that the county does have county resources in the project. We were required to do that for the rural center anyway.
That was if I remember, it was $300,000 that we agreed to, and we also had to guarantee the $900,000 that was, if we didn't get the other funding, that we are going to get.
And also keep in mind that even the numbers that we're dealing with tonight are estimated numbers.
oh yeah, I understand that, Mike.
And I think, Commissioner, when that cash flow chart was done, it was early on in the process. They were estimated numbers at that time as well.
It was about March or April when I was asking about this, because, like I said, I know I asked it twice, because I was concerned about the exposure to the taxpayers on this specific project, and how it was being conveyed as to, in a very specific area, put it that way, and not beneficial to the all taxpayers, except from the hope of a tax base increase, so that property taxes base would go up and increase revenue through the tax base.
What, at this point now,
I don't need any action or anything
Okay.
tonight, Mr. Chairman.
I'd just like to commend Mike on a great job of pursuing these grants and getting these
Yes.
funds for us. I think, the investment that the county's making in comparison to the gross amount that we're getting is significant and it's a good investment. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. You all have set the tone for the entire project, and it's just been a real pleasure so far, and we look forward to everything getting started. Been great working with Gus. He's slow, but he's been great working. No, he's not. He's one of the best engineers I've worked with, I can tell you that.
Mike, I think you've done a good job too, and I appreciate that.
Mike,
thank you, Mike.
Mike, they have this rural center in front. You want to talk to them about that? It looks like it's something that needs to be signed by the county.
This is I think, when you submitted an amendment, and Toby, I haven't seen this, so I'm not sure I can,
You want to read it and come back?
yeah, let me do
Okay.
that.
All right. Let's move on. Sandy Pittman, our finance officer, has a budget ordinance that we need to act on.
Are we talking about this document right here?
Yeah, the rural center.
All right. On this amended thing on October 27th, too, it's in here, specifically in paragraph
I think
2.
he said he's going to review it, come back.
Let him review it and he'll question on about that.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's going to review
So
it.
we
right
are
now.
gonna-
He'll have
okay.
the answers on it.
All right.
And that's for the rural center grant. Sandy,
Ready?
welcome, Sandy.
Thank you. Good evening.
You-
I just have the formality of the project ordinance and the budget amendment for the paper, I mean, for the sewer project that Gus and Mike just discussed with you. This has got all the final number, well, the estimated final numbers for the projects that you all have approved and we've talked about. This was in your packets.
All right, you need to action on both of these, or,
Yes, sir.
okay.
How do these two documents going to relate to each other is what I want to know.
How are they relating to each other?
With this budget amendment.
I have the project ordinance and the budget amendment.
Right, I
The other
got those things.
paperwork, I haven't seen, that's not, they've skipped over that. All I have is the ordinance and the amendment to fund that ordinance.
This only has to do with the $700,000. You going, can you look over that right quick? Okay, well, come on up here and let's go ahead and do this now right quick, if you will. Let's answer this question before we get too far on.
Sure. Commissioners, this amendment to the North Carolina Rural Center original grant agreement, and what it simply does, it doesn't change any dollars in the project. It doesn't impact their total award or any amount that the county had previously committed as well. What it does do, if you look at the last two pages, it shows, the first page shows the project cost and funding as of the original grant agreement, and it just says under the Rural Center it has $700,000 just on the wastewater line item. What the Rural Center actually advised us to do, because their money has to be the last in on this project, they advised us to not put it all on wastewater, but since the county was going to be, and other funding sources were going to be into play as well, they advised spreading that across several line items so we wouldn't have to be waiting towards the very end of the project at probably a critical stage to wait for their funds to actually come in and to make an impact. So that's all that's changing there. They're just changing the distribution of their funds over some existing line items.
The problem that I have with this, Mike, is on the Exhibit A, on the second paragraph, second sentence. The development group, Quality Homes of Currituck, LLC, Briarwood Forest Products Incorporated, has committed to create 20 new jobs as new business develops in the U.S. Highway 158 development. That is not true. We signed had a contract that we entered into with these people that the county is on the hook for these 20 jobs.
Actually, that's not true, Johnny. The contract he's got is with the Rural Center for the 20 jobs, and we have a contract with him for 10 of those 20 jobs.
Well,
That's the actual contract that we
And I
have.
agree with that, but it's a little misleading as to what this says, who is
Well,
responsible.
see, far as the Rural Center is concerned, they've got the contract with him. The second agreement is us, him, not with them at all.
And I agree with that.
Okay.
But this,
It's
It is
not
ma-
misleading, it's factual what it says. It's what it says.
well, let me ask you this. This is the rural service here. If they don't pay it, who pays it? And who do we pay it to?
He will pay it to them, and then we will pay it.
Supposing he doesn't pay it, then who pays the rural center, Graham? Us.
Well, he's got the performance agreement, he's
I understand
guaranteed
that.
them jobs.
Yes, he has. But if he does not do those jobs, who is going to pay it? Gates County is going to pay it to the rural center.
And then we'll go after him for the 20 jobs. That's part of the agreement, Johnny.
I
That's a
understand.
contract, right?
That's exactly
You
right.
dealt with contracts, right?
That's exactly
Well,
right.
I think we evaluated the risk and we found that, the potential of him providing 20 jobs was very good, bringing in the businesses. So, it's a risk factor as well. I mean,
Oh, yes.
you've got to determine how much risk you're taking, and so the risk was not considered such that we wouldn't want to enter it.
Well, there was also another element in it. If another business comes in and provides those jobs, they're provided.
Right.
It doesn't actually have to be Kim O. It doesn't have to be him. I mean, we could end up with, before the deadline, with 90 jobs.
Sure.
And it's taken care of. And it's well worth the risk.
That's right.
To get the build out and the revenue from that project.
Like I said, the contract is with him and the Rural Center for the 20 jobs. And then we have a separate contract for 10 of those jobs with him that we will cover.
So really then, the Rural Center would go back on legally, and I guess Pitt, this would be for you, they would go after him before they would go after the county? And,
Whoever the contract's with.
And that's, the contract is between the Rural Center and the county for this particular thing. Then there's a performance agreement that is between the company and the county.
so there again, who would the Rural Center go after if these 70 jobs are not created? Would they come to the county first?
Yes.
They would.
And then you have your clawback provision in
That is
the
correct.
performance agreement.
Okay.
And that's the same for CDBG.
Oh, yeah,
any of
I
these.
agree, but that's the way I'm understanding
Sure.
it based on what Graham's saying.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
county
That's
is
right.
primarily liable.
Primary is because the grant is ours, but
That's
he's got
right.
a performance agreement and a contract with us to cover the 20
That's
jobs.
correct. You would not have received the grant award without the performance agreement with the company.
Okay. Just want that to be clear in here because
Sure.
it's kind of misleading a little bit.
And you know what, Commissioner, I don't think that's complete. I think there's other pages that fall behind this as well. I know that in the
Also,
original.
where's some secondary?
Right.
Okay.
But I think their primary request here was on that budget modification, just to
Right.
distribute their funds across several line items instead of just lumping it all into the wastewater.
So we can actually draw on their funds
That's
sooner
right.
than what we would
That's
if we
right.
didn't do
It
this.
can put you in a bind if you're holding them at the end and all of a sudden you're trying to get one thing done, you can't do it until you get all these other things that maybe would normally come towards the end of a project anyways.
Right.
So they did us a favor, Mike.
Okay, we need action on this amendment. Do I have a motion that we accept this amendment to the Rural Center contract, which will redistribute the money in a different fashion?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, Sandy, you come back now.
Good evening again. I've got the project ordinance for the wastewater treatment facility and the sewer project that you've been discussing, and also the amendment to allow for the county funds that would need to be transferred eventually to this project to cover expenditures. And they both need to be approved.
Okay. Want to approve them separately, or do we need to?
They're related.
All right, we need a motion to,
Let's do them
Okay.
separately.
go ahead.
Is there one you need before the other?
I don't believe
Okay.
so, as long as
Let-
they're
let
both
me-
approved. One is not any good without the other.
That's
Yeah,
what I was
that's-
thinking.
they're-
Let me ask you this. Why are we doing the budget amendment tonight? And what funds did these, on the balance sheet, were they actually in? On the balance sheet, I was looking today,
The fund balance appropriated, half of it will come from the general fund, under the account number, the things that have 11 in front of the general fund, 61 is the water fund. So half the 188,725, there will be that much coming from each of those funds eventually in the project. This capital project will run for the life of the project.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
my understanding is that we're voting on this budget amendment, which will allow the county to spend the money in going forward, but by spending our money first, which is required by the grant, we can, it allows us also to be able to apply or submit a voucher for the amount that we've spent. So we're gonna move this money, and once we've spent it, now we have the authorization, if you will, to go to the rural center. Says now, let's backfill the money that we've spent. So basically, that's what this is.
That's not happening that way.
Mike, you want to speak to that?
It could be true to a certain extent. The rural center requires that 90% of other grant funds be expended and 100% of local funds be expended before their funds are expended. So it's kind of a complex formula to manage the dollars as your expenditures are incurred. Now, in some cases, though, there may be an expenditure that the county needs to upfront, an expense that the county needs to upfront that would be eligible for reimbursement by the rural center as long as you have met your local commitment that you previously identified. So it is possible that could happen, and probable that it would happen to a certain extent.
Well, I was thinking that, we just did the amendment to break down the line items into various expenditures. So if, once we spend these different line items, this money's applied to them, we wouldn't have to spend the whole $700,000 before
Oh, that's exactly right.
That's my point.
Right on target there. I mean, that's exactly right. That's an excellent point.
And that works with the amendment that we did for the rural center. By breaking that out, it will make that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. That's a great.
You probably didn't understand what I was saying, but that's the intent of the amendment, is to break down those items so that you can target various expenditures.
Absolutely.
And then put you in a position,
That's exactly right. Right.
to reapply for it.
Gentlemen, you want to do these separately, is that right?
Well, there again, I asked about the budget amendment here. So we don't have any funds out of these grants that we can disperse before we get to this point.
We may or may not. However, in order to do this ordinance and say that we are going to have the revenues of this much from the county funds, we have to make this amendment available so that if we do need to transfer, it's there. Whether or not we do this year, we may or may not have to this fiscal year, but you have to have it budgeted in case we do need to move that money.
So in other
They're
words,
kind of tied in together.
what you're telling me, you just want to try to balance this capital project ordinance is what you're
I
trying to do.
don't want to try to, I have to by law.
I understand that, but
Right, and
that's
in order to do that, we have to do that, but in order to say that we're going to fund part of this with a transfer, we have to show that that money's budgeted to come out of our annual budget at the same time. We can't show it there and then not do the amendment for the annual budget. If the money is not spent during this fiscal year, then next year in the annual budget will also include these amounts as well.
So where did the total of the $2,527,450, the breakdown, that come from Gus?
Yes. Gus and Mike.
Okay.
All right. Which one do you need first legally? The ordinance or the?
It doesn't
I would
matter
say we
because they're
do.
interrelated.
I don't think it matters. I think they're together, but the amendment would need to be done
Okay.
in order for this to be valid. I
All right,
would
we
think.
need a motion to accept the budget amendment and the project ordinance for the wastewater treatment facility. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You just say something?
No, I'll clear my throat.
Next on our agenda, county manager has got 4 items for us.
Hopefully these will be well, maybe they won't be brief, but the first one is courthouse architect status. The commissioners have determined your top 6 and have ranked them, and there's been no progress thus far. Does the board have a pleasure on how they like to proceed from here?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to see us proceed by selecting the most qualified. There was a lot of things that the applicant had that we were very concerned about and impressed with, and I think we need to move forward and allow that architect firm to give us a proposal, and if we like the proposal, we can go forward with it, but if not, we can deal with it as we see fit.
Any other comments? You want to make that as a motion, Henry?
I'll make that a motion.
We've got a motion on the board to accept the number one qualified, which was,
Yeah, they're right now.
Henry?
Clearscapes.
Clearscape.
That's right, Clearscape, as our architect for the proposal on the old courthouse. Do I have a second?
All right, questions.
All right.
So with this, what will they actually provide? More or less a plan of action?
They would need to provide a plan of action and an actual contract.
And they will be self-contained in one document or two documents?
I'm not sure, probably whichever way we ask them, they'll provide the way we ask them.
In other words, I guess first thing required would be a scope of the project and what the plan of action would be with the process, and then a separate contract to accomplish those items that are in the scope.
Yeah, I'm not sure you could have one without the other. If not, you would simply have a number of what they're charging you to do without knowing what it was they're doing. So the two are obviously intertwined.
And that is correct. They would be. But
Anything else, John? All right,
No,
we've got a motion on the floor to choose the Clearscape architect. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Okay. I'll make contact with them this week or next, hopefully by your December meeting, maybe not. Definitely January, you'll have their proposal. Next is, you should have received in your packet CDBG grant administrator proposals for the capacity building grant. You should have 3 before you. The Wooten Company should have 3 in front of you: Coastal Innovative, Roanoke Center, and the Wooten Company. Those are 3 that were received on time and processed.
Was there another?
Say again, sir.
Was there another?
Actually, there was one received after the deadline, and if it is the will of the board for them to be considered equally, then you would just need to waive that informality in your contract. In your proposal, I'm sorry.
Did I miss something on the Wooten? I didn't see a fee.
Correct, because they didn't list one.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask the pleasure of the board that we would waive the requirement to allow the last proposal to be admitted and considered.
Did you make it as a motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
I
Okay.
second that.
We got a motion and a second that we include all 4 proposals and waive the timeframe to submit the proposal. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Okay. They should also have one from Progressive Resources and Opportunities. We are in a position where we need to select an administrator/project manager for the capacity building grant. Commissioner Jordan can maybe speak, or Colleen, more on the details of timelines, but we're getting close to the point. I believe we requested an extension today, but we're going to need to have an administrator in place as one of our requirements before funding can be released.
Yes, we need to select an administrator and director so that we can move forward. There's a number of things that has to be done by the administrator that are tied to the funding approval, the conditions of funding approval. So I would encourage the board that we would just move forward in evaluating these. I've looked them over, and I think that for the situation that we're dealing with and the type of involvement and knowledge of the project that we need to move forward, I believe that Progressive Resources and Opportunities would be the best fit for us for this particular project. They've done it before. They've been involved in various aspects of grant writing for us, and they know the situation we're in, and based on what they have put together, it seems to address the needs that we have right now in developing a scope of work that we can implement.
Any other input, gentlemen?
Well, they were all good proposals. There were certainly some that were great. Some were good, some were great. The one that Progressive that Henry's referring to is one of the great ones. They are familiar with the county. That was actually mentioned in the document here, and I would agree that they would be the best choice.
Any other input?
I would certainly agree with that, and I do want to make sure it does say all project activities for the county at a cost not to exceed. That's in this proposal. And I just want to know how firm that is.
And Gus,
I don't want any surprises.
Gus, you know if Mike left or if he just stepped out? Okay. The $9,500 quote that he has in the packet, which is the cheapest of the three that actually submitted a quote, is for administration only. I believe we're going to also ask whoever the winner is to also be the project manager. So that will be an additional cost, but you will have the contract brought back to you before it's approved. So you're not making an approval tonight, you're simply selecting who you want to enter into a contract with.
Any other input?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recuse myself from this vote because I have ties to the Roanoke Center.
Oh, you feel like this is any?
Well, I don't want anybody to think any different.
Okay. Gentlemen, we'll need to take a vote on that for Kenny to recluse himself. Is there a motion to allow Commissioner Jernigan to recluse himself from the vote on this project?
So moved.
Got a motion, do I have a second? All,
You got to know backwards. It's John Horner, motion, Henry Jordan second. You got it.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Kenny, you're reclused from this vote. Does anybody want to make a motion on the proposal?
I make a motion that we accept Progressive Resources and Opportunities as our contract administrator and project manager for capacity grant.
All right, we have a motion, do I have a second?
I second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. You can't vote,
Okay,
Kenny.
all right.
4-0. 4-0.
Okay, the next thing for me is your public hearing for tax incentives for Sunbury school properties.
We're gonna have Pitt, we wanna kinda go over the incentive plan that we have for Sunbury school sale before we go into a public hearing. So everybody understand what we're doing? Pitt or
Either one.
either one.
Well, we have an incentive plan for the Sunbury School project. It's on the now, the contract is supposed to close on December 5th. The incentive plan that we're here for public hearing is required by law to have a public hearing on, and the incentive is an actual grant of 50% of the tax bill paid by the owners as of December the 5th. refunded to them in a grant. They will pay the total amount, and we will refund them 50% for a period of 5 years. This is not to be transferable to any other party, only the owner that's purchasing the property as of December 5th of this year, which is the proposed closing date.
Okay, we'll need a motion to go into public hearing to discuss this.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, we're now in a public hearing to discuss the incentive package for the people purchasing the Sunbury School, which will consist of a 50% grant for 5 years on the taxes that will be paid and then refunded back as a grant for 50% for 5 years. Are there any comments from the public on this grant situation? That'll be fine.
As I have, first of all, my name is Dan Bademore from your district, and as I have been following this for a period of time, it is my understanding that what is taking place, that we have a firm that is something similar to a realtor firm that you are dealing with that is going to take this project and then sell it to someone else. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So my question being, if that's taking place, which one is going to get the tax incentive? Is it going to be the realtor, or is it going to be the one to wind up with the property?
The final.
All right, now if it's the one that winds up with the property, I would recommend that you do give them this incentive. Because right now, you are not making one dime off of that in tax value. You will be making 50% for 5 years that you're not making now.
Dan, this will all be done the same day, so it will be sold to the North Carolina Preservation one in the morning, and then they will sell it to that afternoon.
Yes, this I
And Pitt will be
understand.
handling both sides of it.
This I understand, and thank you, but what my question was, I was trying to get it clarified, who was going to get the benefit?
The final.
Because I feel as though the person winds up with the property is the one should get the benefit, and now you've clarified that.
Yes, sir.
And so, and I was explaining on why I think it should be approved. I think it's a win-win situation. The only thing of it is, as an after the fact situation, I think we should have excluded 1 acre because that's prime land over there for the Sunbury district. For the possibility of a satellite library at some time in the future. And is it too late to do that? If it's too late to do that, then we're going to have to pay some money, or somebody's going to have to donate some land when we already own land. You see what I'm saying? So somewhere we haven't done some homework.
Actually, we have. Dan.
Actually, we have. The school board owns, I think, 3 to 5 acres adjacent to the Sunbury School property, so if we
That's
decided.
not included in this. They still own.
So
Okay.
if there was some reason why we needed to build, for in your example, a satellite library, I'm sure the Board of Education will be pretty accommodating for us to get an acre.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we brought out this information. I'm glad to step forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I'd like to also say that might be an option for the Ruitons, Sunbury Ruitons, to talk to the Board of Education about an acre of that land also. Might be it's just something to throw out there.
I actually think that land is across the road.
Yes.
It's,
Behind Kellogg Morgan's
Yeah.
parking lot.
Right.
and I believe they acquired that land because they were anticipating needing additional land for their wastewater treatment spray field at some future time and date. And obviously, they won't need it anymore since the wastewater will be part of the transaction.
Any more public comment on this tax? Earl?
These are some questions that have been presented to me, so while we got the commissioners and Pitt here, who's a closing attorney. I know the preservation, how they sort of work, that they're supposed to be done something. What happens, Pitt, if we turn this property over to these people and they never do anything, or they just go bankrupt? What's going to happen if they don't do anything? Do we have any stipulations that they're actually going to do something?
There'll be covenants that'll be put into the deed that they have to comply with.
What happens if they don't?
Pitt would have to answer whether that reverts back.
That's why I was looking
Yeah.
at him. He's our county attorney.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, as in anything, we're under contract with them, and as in any business, if they don't comply with what they're contractually agreed to do, we'd have to bring a lawsuit and make them comply, specifically perform. And we've got covenants within the deed which relieves the county of a lot of responsibilities, such as continuation of the wastewater treatment facility, environmental questions and issues that are there at the old school building regarding, that building was built a long time ago, so there's lead paint issues, asbestos issues probably. So the county's able to wipe their hands of these liabilities. But to answer your question, Earl, if the ultimate buyer somehow defaults, then we'll have them in court.
Okay, this is the news I can take back to Sunbury then. Basically, it's kind of like we thought, and the fact you said, it could be that they didn't do anything, they defaulted, we take them to court, but they go bankrupt or what have you. It is no way to guarantee it. And that's the bottom line, and no more than it would be anywhere else. And the other thing is, I do want to be on the record to say that I would greatly appreciate it if y'all would reduce my taxes for 5 years, and I'd thank all of you for that.
Thank you, Earl. All right, any more public comment on this issue with the taxes for the Sunbury School? If not, we'll entertain a motion and go out of public hearing.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We need to act on the,
I think you need to deal with the incentives and then deal with the actual sale.
we need a motion to accept the incentives as presented.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the folks from the Ruritan Club coming tonight, and I actually had a Ruritan member from your club come visit me last week, and we talked about this, and then we talked about it on the phone again, and the gentleman relayed Lloyd Byron Puddin, relayed the same sentiments that I've heard from you folks. I happen to be a Ruritan myself in Gatesville Ruritan Club. In the covenants that the Preservation North Carolina put in this contract, it addresses all of those buildings. It addresses that they have to follow guidelines to improve that property. And I think that once this contract is closed and this closing actually takes place, this stuff will be public record, and then you can see what we're looking at. A couple of things that I want to say before we go into a motion here is that the gymnasium that you're interested in, the sewer system goes with the school. So that would be an issue for anybody who owned the building and didn't own the sewer. So that would be an issue. We are under a contract, and you know how real estate contracts work. But in this document, I just, without being specific, it talks about what these people are going to do with the building. And it talks about options, public-private options. So I don't want you to, there are no guarantees in what I'm saying, but I want you to know that I think these people are going to be a good community group, and I think you may have some some options. I would be, if I were you, I would be proposing or thinking about things of that nature. I think I would get me a spokesman, and after December the 5th, when this contract closes, I think I would approach them. And I think you have 5 commissioners up here that would love for you to be successful if that turns out to be the best bet for you. So, Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion regarding the incentive package. And I want to detail it, if I may.
Okay.
I want to make a motion that we improve this incentive package. It's a 5-year grant, and it's equal to half of all the annual property taxes paid in full on the Sunbury campus. The grant is for the sole benefit of the final owner as of December the 5th, 2011, and is not transferable. That's my motion.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second on this motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, the next thing we need to do is a resolution approving the sale of the Sunbury School properties to the North Carolina Preservation, no, what does it say, North Carolina? Preservation North Carolina is the name of the business. And the resolution, I reckon I need to read the resolution. Whereas according to General Statutes 168-266B and 153A-176, authorizes the disposal of real or personal property, and whereas provided a county may dispose of real property in any value or personal property valued at $30,000 or more, or any one item or group of similar items may be private negotiation and sale where said real or personal property is significant for the architectural, archaeology, or artistic, cultural, or historical associations, or significant for these relationships to other property significant for its natural, scenic, or open conditions, and said real or personal property is to be sold to a nonprofit organization or trust whose purposes include the preservation or conservation of real or personal properties of architectural, archaeological, artistic, cultural, historical, natural, or scenic significance. And where as a preservation agreement or conservation agreement is defined in GS 121-35 is placed in the deed conveying said property from the county to be nonprofit corporation or trust, said nonprofit corporation or trust shall only dispose of or use this real property or real or personal property subject to covenants or other legal binding restrictions which will promote the preservation or the conservation of this property, and where appropriate, secure rights of public access. Now therefore it be resolved, the Gates County Board of Commissioners wish to sell the Sunbury School properties, parcel 10-03060, Sunbury School, 5.62 acres. Parcel 10-03061, Gymnasium, 1.12 acres. Parcel 05-00045, the Teacherage, and 0.78 of an acre. And parcel 05-00648, Agricultural Building, 0.58 acres, to the Preservation, North Carolina, for the sum of $50,000 and other considerations agreed upon by both parties. Adopted this day, the 21st day of November, 2011. Do I have a motion that we approve this resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we're gonna take a short break. Wait a minute, where you going?
That'd be fine.
Okay, we'll do that. Hold. You wanna do it, or you want?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't
We
take
got one
a
little,
second.
then we'll take a break. We hadn't even got the new business yet.
All right, for the last thing for me in old business, part of our condemnation ordinance that has been successful in the county, has been a request to the board to modify a few sentences in it. I believe most of the commissioners have weighed in on it. and you should have in front of you draft language highlighted in yellow that I would recommend that you insert.
I think, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I proposed a modification, and the board agreed with that, and Commissioner Hora and Commissioner Owens also provided additions by email. And I'm in agreement that those additions they made are acceptable as well. And the portion that was revised reads as thus. It says, within 10 years from any date of purchase, the new owner must have plans in place that maintain, restore, or alter the designated landmark to prevent it from being a danger to the health, safety, and welfare of Gates County citizens. The Gates County Board of Commissioners reserve the right to revoke or disallow any waivers to this exemption if the requirements are not complied with or if deception is detected, in the judgment of the Gates County Board of Commissioners, to avoid compliance. That language includes Commissioner Hora's recommendation, along with Commissioner Owens, and the recommendation that I submitted as well. So that's a clean copy, if you will,
Great.
of the
He's got a clean
incorporation
copy of all of it.
Okay.
of those.
This is the copy right here, same thing.
I don't think so.
So that's a clean copy.
No, the one John has in his hand
Okay.
is the actual clean one.
Okay.
It's the merger of both of these that you have.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Keep
it.
passing. Thank you.
I was okay with this when I read it on the email.
Mr. Chairman, just point of clarification.
Okay.
This document pertains to all historic property on the National Register in the county.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm just saying, not just Sunbury School for the audiences.
We've got a recommended, proposed change to the condemnation ordinance of Gates County based on General Statutes 153A-366 and 153A-371. I have a motion that we accept this, change in policy.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, now we'll take a short break, guys. Sorry about that. Next thing on our agenda is we're going to new business. Mr. William Roundtree would like to address us. William?
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Mr. Goff. I'm here to ask for a proposal on the extension of the water main on Raintree Lane. At this time, the state right-of-way is in existence, has been for quite some time. The water main was put in approximately 30-some years ago. It never had a reason to go any further than where it is at this time because there was no development at that time. Can you make sure the microphone's on time?
Push that little clear button. There you go.
Right there? Okay. Everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, well, what we're asking for is I have just purchased a piece of property back there. It has a modular home on it at this time, and it's in the process of being cut up into additional lots, which will eventually be for rental property. And also, on behalf of Kevin and Cynthia Raintree that just got married, their parents have given them a piece of land to put a home on, and that is also in process. The water back there at this time, anything on that side of Bennett's Creek is generally shallow well water. It's irony. It has an odor for sulfur smell, and it's not good for washing, just like back in the days when we didn't have county water. And deep well water is non-existent in that area. It's got a high content of salt, which Todd Lewis and I have proven that by drilling wells for livestock and so forth. And that's all on record with the state of North Carolina for testing. Okay, what we're asking for, the extension of this line with approximately 1 to 5 meters in the future that will be accommodating the cost of it. And due to, I would say, economic hard times with everybody, as me as a licensed contractor, plumbing and electrical and so forth, I would like to propose to do the work for the county, most likely as a donation. If they would agree to pay for the engineer drawings, any other prices like that that I wouldn't be aware of at this time. That has been estimated for about $1,500 in Raleigh. The pipe and so forth, of course, that fluctuates with the times as everything goes up and down because it's a petroleum product. And any kind of apparatus that the engineer decides it has to be there, such as a valve for connecting or maybe a blow-off hydrant at the end. I believe Timmy Hedgepath has agreed to fill it with chlorine, which is something that's required for sanitation before it can go into use. I guess that's about it at this time, what I'm asking for. I also like to note to the public that this is not a private asking. It is a state road. We're asking to stand on state right of way. We're not asking for any help on our property. We will pay for meters, water lines, whatever to get to our home, just like anybody else would. And I think I've covered about it in brief.
Okay. William, after you contacted me a few weeks ago, I got with our county manager and Timmy and Jack. We talked a little bit with Timmy, and he's working up some kind of proposal right now. Should have it for our next meeting, which should be the first of the month, that we'll be able to look at cost and all that, so we'll have an idea more about what we're talking about. And it'll be probably done something, so we may have this down the line in other projects too. So that's what we're going to do. Probably the first of the month, we ought to have some kind of answer for you, at least something that we can discuss.
Well, I would like to add that if you get a price on the pipe, maybe you could still consult with me at the same time. Who knows, I might can get it cheap.
Okay.
I'll be glad to do that if you want to go that right.
All right, we appreciate it, William. As soon as we get something, we'll get in touch with you again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, William.
Yeah, William, do you know if anybody from the Highway Department, DOT, has been down there?
No, Gretchen Byram, which is in Elizabeth City, she is the head director of North Carolina Department of Highways. In this region, I don't know what that covers, but it does cover Gates County. She has been notified about the proposal also of, if necessary, not for the water line, but extend the right-of-way to have a EMS certified turnaround in case a fire truck has to go back down and turn around, because there's really nowhere to turn around except in someone's driveway. And on the Todd Lewis property, which is on the right side of the road, there's a canal, and Lord, you don't want to get in that. And he also, I spoke with him, he's in agreement with having the road paved and so forth, whatever happens in the future, if that time comes. And all that's already on record with Gretchen in Elizabeth City, so we've already signed off on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, William, what kind of timeline are you on?
Myself, I'm okay, but Cynthia and Kevin, their timeline is in, by the time they get their home set and it's ready for an inspection for finalization, they're at a crossroads of either having to put in a well, which is, I've already explained, is not going to be well, good, and that's a right good cost, probably $3,000. And, that time and effort could be put in this system with, them helping us install it as far as labor work.
So when is that house going to be?
I don't know at this time. You'd have to ask Sandra.
Foundation, I hope to start about Christmas.
Okay.
So there is a small window here.
Yeah, maybe 2 months at the most due to the weather.
So that means the building permits have already been gotten, right, Sandra, for the foundation?
I know they started the process of getting the perk test and all the permits
Okay.
going. And they've got the plat surveys and the process of getting all that.
Okay.
Thank you.
How many meters are you looking at adding at this time?
At this time, well, there's a definite for Kevin and Cynthia. On my property, there's a definite of 2, possibly a third one, if I can purchase a small piece of land to get the additional lot, because of the way the land is shaped, I can't get the additional lot. I need about 5 more tenths. And that's optional at that time. And then Mr. William Duck said that he would definitely put in a meter to get off of that well. He was calling when he bought that place, it had a well, which, that was good for him because he was used to that well-type water, but he still knows the outcome of your clothes and so forth, like it was in the old days with iron. And then Jesse Duck, his son, at some point in time, will probably put a well down in a home. I don't know the outcome of that one. That will be in the future.
But you're saying 4 or 5?
I'm saying
4 to 5?
realistically, 4 for sure, right away.
And the property on 189 Roundtree Lane does not have a water meter or connection?
No, the line does not extend to that point at this time.
Yeah.
It stops on the 178 property, or that lot.
We're not, board, I pulled the tax records for Mr. William Duck, and we're charging you for water. We're charging you for a water connection on 189 Roundtree Lane, and which Renee is not here. I believe that's about probably an additional $1,500, if not $2,500. Don't quote me on the amount, but it's fairly significant. The tax amount on that, we're talking maybe $20, $30, $40, but you are paying for water right now based on your tax record.
What they're paying
Henry,
for.
actually, there's a lot with water on it. They're using the water's there, even so well.
They may be charging for the trash
county water.
pickup.
Oh, it does show
With
that
that.
county
County
water?
water.
Okay.
It's county
That's
water.
on there.
That's on there. That is it. DW.
So,
Well, let me, and Henry may be right. Could it be that we're not actually charging them for water, but we're rating their property
We're
as if
rating-
it has water?
Right, but rating the property as if you have water. I'm not saying we charge.
Yeah, we're not sending them a water bill and
No,
they're paying
yeah, I
for it.
know that. What I'm
Okay.
saying, it could be because of, people that don't have county water, that have a well, I think they're still charged with that, $15 fee for
that's right,
the
$180
trash
a year.
disposal fee.
Well, I think what Henry's saying is the property's valued as a building lot. If it's got sewer, septic system, water, and
Okay,
electricity, it's a
okay.
finished lot,
Yeah.
even
All
though it may be well or county water. I believe that's
Okay.
what.
Yeah, it's
The
changing
tax value, the
classification.
water is on there to be used, even though it may not be
Right.
county water.
If you own that property a number of years, you could end up paying $400, $500, $600 additional for something you're not getting service for.
Well, I understand what you're saying.
For the distance from where that water line ends to that property, county water is available. There's multiple sites in this county with the meter at the end of state maintained right away at the end of the water mains, where meters can be put in, utility easements can be granted, and they can run private lines to their property. So the availability of county water is there.
Tim,
It will not be put on that lot, but the availability is also there.
Timmy, you think you'll have a proposal ready for us by the next meeting?
I will do my best.
I don't think that's where it's set up. I think that tax value,
Okay.
that lot has to be
If you can try to have it for us by the next meeting.
county water. That's the way
Okay.
our tax system.
And what does that proposal maintain? What is the, tell me what's in the basics of it? Because I really don't see a problem here personally right now.
Timmy, come on up here.
William, in your diagram, you gave each one of these lots a number. Have those numbers been assigned?
Yes, they are. Billy Wynn has assigned those for me, for these lots.
Recently?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, after the day that you and I met right there, what we discussed. I called him, within the next couple of days, and he got back with me. And on the GPS, or however he does it, I'm assuming that's how he did it. He gave me these lots with the dimensions that I have with Paul Toady, the surveyor.
So 186 is the one with the road front problem, then, William?
186
Yeah, it's got a
is,
question on it.
that's a lot that may or may not ever occur due to purchasing a piece of property.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's why that's got a question. That could be another meter.
Oh, okay. I'm with you.
That's
now.
why it's
I
just
understand
set
what you're
night.
saying. Okay.
Timmy, you had a question, for Timmy, John?
Well, I mean, to me, it just looks like a straight line here, is that not?
That's all it is. It's a straight line, no obstructions.
So I don't understand that. I mean, if it's a straight line,
There's
what's the
no
problem?
telephone, there's nothing in the way, nothing.
The issue is not whether it's a straight line or not. The issue is the precedence that you're setting of extending it 940 feet.
What precedence would that be? We just did that out at Gates County High School, what we've just done. Now, what kind of precedent is that set?
The county actually didn't absorb that cost.
I realize that, Timmy, but I'm telling you, it's the same type precedent that's been done. It's just like this thing that we were just talking about, Mr. Roundtree just said about his taxes. What kind of precedent is that set?
Why don't we wait until we get a proposal before we start arguing about anything?
Well, I don't see anything
right-
on it.
right
It's
now
a
we-
straight line. It's a straight line. It's a straight pipe to be put down in the ground. That's it. If it's a straight line, how complicated is that? Why do we need such a proposal if,
How many straight lines are you gonna put down in the county if everybody needs 900 feet gonna do it right away?
well, I tell you what,
And not without any plan or any idea of what cost is?
I can see what the cost is right here.
What is it?
It's
Do you know what it costs the county to put it
$4,500
down?
max. It's $4,500 max right here, based on this paper demand put down on the paper.
When Timmy gives us a cost, then we'll know what it costs the county.
Timmy, what is the connection tap-in fee?
Connection tap-in fee as in for meters?
For someone just signing up, what is the county tap-in fee?
For a 3/4 inch meter, $750.
So anyone, even if we put the line down,
They gotta pay that too.
that would be that, you would still have to pay that tap-in fee, is that right?
That's correct.
Well, then we recoup the cost right there.
Not necessarily, because out of that $750, about $500 of that is materials that goes in. So roughly you'll recoup $250 of that $750.
Okay, I would like to add to that, is when I spoke with Timmy about this, when we first started requesting about running this line, I told him, and I said, and I believe I may have spoke with one or two of you guys about the same thing, to save some of that county money, it doesn't take a little bit of common sense. If I'm out there digging and I run a line, and I spoke with Timmy about this, why bring a county backhoe out there when mine is there, and the taps can be put in at the same time, not saying the meter, but the tap on the line and be marked and taken care of until time the meter can be put in. And that saves God knows how much money. I mean, this little project to me is nothing. I mean, 900 feet is about a half a day's work.
And to help address your concern, Mr. Hoare, we've talked about this, but when we say creating a policy or something how to handle this, it can't be on a case-by-case basis. We need to set a precedent how it's going to be handled uniformed throughout future extensions. And we're not talking about slowing down the process much, but you need to know 1,000 foot or less, this is how we're going to cost share, this is how it's going to be handled for water main extensions every time. The high school, that was, you can't really compare that to what we're doing here.
Yeah, I can, Timmy, because all of the water customers in Gates County are going to be paying for that system in front of the high school. All of them,
How are the water customers?
because they're all lumped in one fund, just like Toby said. They are all going to be in the...
Not the water system, that's gonna be built by the developer and paid for by the developer. The water system.
Yes, and all the revenue goes into one fund. That's what he said. I asked him specifically that.
Johnny, we're talking about through two different items now, I think. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
We're talking about the
This
same
project is
principle.
one job, but we still got to set a precedence up for
We
everybody
already
else.
have.
I think
Hey,
Henry's
well, the precedent, now, when you say high school, do you mean the actual extension to the gymnasium?
No, I'm not talking about
That,
He's talking about something that hadn't been done yet.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were talking
No,
about
no.
the main extension for the
No,
high
no,
school
no,
gymnasium,
no,
because that
no.
was actually tapped on and paid for by
No,
the
that-
school system, and the contractor put that in to my specs, which is
No, this
the
is
way
future.
we handle subdivisions and the water main extensions.
No, this is future, Tammy.
Oh, when you said
I had
high
nothing to
school,
do-
we just finished that project about a year and a half ago
No.
for the high school gym. That's what I thought you were
No,
referring
no,
to.
no, no.
All right,
Merchant
gentlemen,
scale pond.
let's,
Merchant commerce.
William, will this work till the next meeting and let Timmy bring something to us? So we can determine exactly what the cost is to the county.
All right.
And that's what we need to know. I mean, that's the prudent thing for somebody to know what the cost is to the county to work with. And then after the meeting, we'll be able to work something from that point on.
All right.
Thank you, William.
And maybe I can get Mr. Langston to help me a little bit. All right, thank y'all.
All right, thank you, William. All right. Next on the agenda will be Mr. Commissioner Hoare with,
I'm gonna pass again until next meeting, since it is 9:15.
okay. Toby, you've got,
Yes, mine will be quick. We received the HVAC RFPs for the administrative building. I'm gonna need to talk to one of the people that have bid to get some clarification. Hopefully at the next meeting, I'll have the bids for the selection.
okay.
Surplus and property. These are, one of the things we've asked Chase, who's here tonight, to do is help clean up our IT room adjacent to the sheriff's office. He did that a few weeks ago and acquired all of this relatively useless old equipment that's on the sheet that you have in front of you. I'm asking that you allow us to put it on Gov Deals, and if it's not sold, to be disposed of.
You don't need any motion on that, Toby? or-
Yes, sir,
We'll
you
need a
would.
motion on
Yeah,
that.
I move that we dispose of that excess old equipment
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a
on
second.
Gov Deals. Thank you.
We've got a motion to dispose of the excess equipment on Gov Deals. If not, dispose of it afterwards. All in favor, second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
The next thing on the agenda, gentlemen, we have to reschedule the January 16th meeting due to the Martin Luther King holiday. Last year, we moved it to Wednesday instead of the night meeting on the mid-month night meeting in January. We moved it to Wednesday of that week. Do you have any problem with that, or any other suggestions? If not, I'll need a motion that we reschedule the January 16th meeting to the Wednesday after that,
So the 18th.
That'll be the 18th.
the 18th.
So move.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, the next thing on our agenda, we're gonna be citizens' comments. Anthony, you have passed through the second, thing. Would you like to speak?
Good evening.
Good evening, Anthony.
Last time I was here, we were talking about the cameras, being useful in here. That's the ones I trust over there, the ones we use for the courtroom. And I don't go to other internet sites. I go to the Gates County Commission meeting sites, look at the videos, because there's too much of those things on other internet sites I don't trust. Too much.
Thank you, Anthony.
And about the courthouse, I would love to have the courthouse to be saved and restored. like for like a museum or something. You know, I don't want to have to go to waste anything.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, the next on our agenda will be commissioners' comments. Commissioner Jernigan, let you go first today.
Thank everybody for coming that's still here to stick it out.
Amen.
Commissioner Hoare?
Same thing. I did have lots of things on here, but in the interest of time, we're going to move forward, and I appreciate you being here. I will say one thing in what Anthony just said. If any of you were here the very first meeting that I ever sat behind this desk, the one thing I had on my agenda was the camera, the audio. I'm a person that have lived by accountability all my life since I became in the position that I had, and it's very important. That don't lie to you. When you look at that and you see what's happening, you have the opportunity to go back and play it just like your DVR on your thing. You can play it over and over and over again. It doesn't become a he said, she said deal. It don't lie to you. You just keep doing it. And that's what I like about it, because I make mistakes. I want to improve myself when I'm sitting behind here. But I also want to know what other people are doing and what they said. And I can't retain it all in my head. So that was, if you were there at the very first meeting, matter of fact, I would like to see them put on the cable system. Although we don't have a very good cable system here in Gates County. But I will tell you, on the horizon, it's and I think this is going to happen within the next 2 years. With the satellite technology, there is going to be some space there where these things can be up later and actually played on an interactive cable system on your satellite. And hopefully that's going to happen. 2 years from now, I'll still be sitting behind this desk. If that materializes, I'll be pushing for that. Because I want you to see, I want you to be able to review, I want you to hold me accountable and everyone else here accountable. I work for you, you're my boss, and I'm here to listen, and I'm here to voice your concerns. And it doesn't make any difference if it's positive, negative, I want to hear them. And I've been around in the county, and I've heard a lot of, just about everywhere I go now, I'm having people come up to me and telling me that things. And I appreciate that. And I grant you, I will listen, and I will learn, and I'll get better. But that was my number one goal. I had several others that have materialized also, but that was the number one thing I wanted to see happen in this county, that we had some accountability and some openness to the public. And I appreciate you being here, the ones that are left, the ones that were here prior to. But now they can go home and see the whole thing if they so desire. So that's great. So I appreciate you being here again. Thank you.
Jack?
Thank you for coming.
Henry?
Yes. Well, I thank everyone for coming as well. And it's good to see the citizens involved in the county government process. I do have a couple of things I want to just kind of make mention of. First of all, we are here to serve, and that's the only purpose and reason that we're here is to serve. And anything that I believe I know for myself and any of the other commissioners do, it should be as a result of trying to do the best we can for the citizens of the county. And the actions we take is reflected in the minutes. And you've even got the camera now to verify that. But any actions that's taken by this board is recorded and documented, except those that are in closed session. And what is done in closed session is confidential to a certain extent. But even when we take actions in closed session, we have to come out and take a vote in open session. So It's nothing hidden. It's all there. We'll just search it out. I do want to make mention, Timmy's gone, but I want to make mention to the county manager. I would like to see you put a little bit of input on our water department director and looking into how to fix that leak at Sunbury stoplight. It's unsightly. It stays wet all the time. It's not good for property values. You know, I know there's some complications with that, and it costs. It's costing. If we're wasting money, allowing water to leak like that, someone's paying for it. So, you know, I don't know how many of those small leaks we've got around the county, but certainly that one at the crossroad, at the intersection in Sunbury, we need to address that, and we need to see what it takes to fix it. At least let's find out what it takes, and we'll decide what we do from there. But other than that, I'm glad to see everybody, and thank you for coming.
All right. I also, Dan, I'm gonna let you speak. Be fine.
I just wanted to mention, we were on the issue of accountability. And it's in reference to my home and my private property. And while we're all right here together, no one seems to want to realize the contract that the county had with me was broken from the start. It was a clear breach contract. Y'all have no contract with me. We need to do something about this. I know it's a fact, as I talked to a representative from Raleigh about CDBG grant. I know y'all were recommended for it. I know y'all had to pay it back. Something needs to be done about this. I truly believe it.
Dan,
Going on 5 years.
can I respond to that right quick? We've been working with you on that for several months now. Pitt has sent several requests for response from you in the last few weeks. We have got no response from you. We're trying to work something with you, and you stopped responding to us. You turned it over to your attorney, and we've been waiting for your attorney to respond.
I've not heard, I talk to him every week. I've not heard anything through the mail, through y'all.
Anyway, we'll deal with that later. But if you'll respond to Pitt, I do know Pitt has been trying to respond to your attorney, and he hasn't got no response from him at this point. Okay? Thank you. Next, for my comment, I'd like to. One of the things when I come on board 3 years ago, I was attacked several times in Sunbury about the Sunbury School. We've been working on it hard. We finally found a solution to replace the Sunbury School. I'm proud of that. As a Board of Commissioners, I think it's something good we have done. Trying to get something that has let fall down to find somebody to replace it, repair it, and make it something beautiful for our county. I'd like to thank everybody that was part of that decision to get that done, and I'm glad we moved forward on that tonight. Other than that, I'd like to thank all y'all for being here. And Dan, if you'll contact Pitt and have your attorney contact him, I think that issue can be taken care of. All right, I need a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Johnny.